Hey, Tom.
Hey, Brandon.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Where are you located? What building are you in?
I'm down here in the town building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Up here on the third floor. I've been for the past 26 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Today's guest is Tom Cassel, professor of practice at the University of Pennsylvania and the founder of Penn's Engineering Entrepreneurship Program. Launched in 1999, this program is one of the longest running of its kind in the country and now serves over 400 students annually through both undergraduate and graduate level courses. Tom teaches courses on high tech entrepreneurship and business planning and has helped hundreds of students, from engineers to aspiring founders, learn how to turn ideas into ventures. Tom, thanks so much for joining me.
Brandon, it's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
I'd love to start at the beginning when you first launched the Engineering Entrepreneurship Program. You launched it back in 1999.
Yeah.
What initially inspired you to do that?
Sure. Um, Prior to 1999, the entrepreneurship was really a domain of business school. So I don't think there were any engineering schools teaching entrepreneurship at that time. A friend of mine, Tom Byers, who actually was the founder of Symantec, was out at Stanford, and they started a program where they started teaching it in the engineering school. And pretty quick, a professor from engineering and a professor from Wharton went out to talk to him at a roundtable he had. Anyway, they came back and talked to Dean Glant, who was then dean of our engineering school, with this idea. And it just pretty much by serendipity, I was talking with Dean Glant. I had just sold my company,
Mm-hmm.
which I had started 20 years prior to that. We were one of the initial players in the independent power market and had large power plants across the country. We had just sold it and looking for the next phase in my career. And I was talking to Dean Glant, and he had just heard about what they'd done, this new idea of teaching entrepreneurship and engineering. And he asked me if I'd be interested in starting the program.
So you were teaching at the time.
I was not teaching at the time.
Oh, you weren't even
I had
teaching
we,
yet.
I
Okay.
had just sold my company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And,
So
and,
what did the
and
pro?
literally, the moving truck moved my furniture and things from my office down on Broad Street in Philadelphia
Yeah.
to my office here at Penn.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what was the first incarnation of the program? What did it look like back in 1999?
It looked like one course.
One course? Okay.
One
And, and-
course
and
with
you taught that course?
I taught it. It was one
Okay.
course with 30 students.
Okay.
And what I did is I talked to Tom Byers out at Stanford about their curriculum. I went and talked to two of our alumni, Andy Ratcliffe and Ted Schlein, who were pretty well-known venture capitalists, to get their ideas, from a practitioner's point of view. Of course, I had a fair amount of experience of my own, having started and run a company for 20 years. So I put it all together and came up with a curriculum for a course. We had 30 students, and it struck a chord with them. And then those students said, well, could we have some kind of a sequel course? And that led to our other core course, which exists today as well. So we have the two core courses, which started back in 1999.
Was that your first time teaching?
I had actually taught as a grad student. And then when I was out earlier in my career, I had worked for Bechtel Corporation in the West Coast, and I was invited to Cal Berkeley to as kind of a guest lecturer to teach in their program.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hadn't done a lot of teaching, but enough to know that I enjoyed it when I did it. Yes.
So who is the engineering entrepreneurship program designed for? And then how do students actually get into the program?
Sure. So it's designed for engineers and scientists.
Okay.
The idea is, these are the people that are going to have the ideas, and let's capitalize on them. Let's get them out. Let's commercialize them.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, however, we have quite a few students from the other schools within the university. We get students from the law school. We get students from Wharton.
Mm-hmm.
We get students from the medical school, students from the college. But primarily it's engineers and scientists, and that's who we're geared for, right? And then they simply, sign up in pre-registration for the course, and we do have a waiting list typically.
Okay.
And but we manage that, and the sections are generally full. So we're up to 3 sections now every semester, and we have about 150 students per semester going through just the core course. Yep.
I see.
Yep.
What's the structure of the program, and what do students get when they complete the program? Like, is there a certificate or something like that?
In terms of the program, some students just take the one course. That's the most popular
Oh,
course,
okay.
Engineering Entrepreneurship 1. And then some do take the 2-course sequence, which is Entrepreneurship 1 and 2. So 1 is more the fundamentals of entrepreneurship,
Okay.
where we get into like intellectual property protection, product market fit is huge, venture finance, how to lead a company, how to organize a company, what do you do in the company, what do you outsource? That's the core course. The second course then builds on that, and we actually develop business plans and pitches for high-tech ventures. And students work in teams of 5 for that. So in terms of the program structure, students can either take one course, they can take the 2-course sequence. We call them survivors, and we have a little party at the end of the semester. The courses are known to be pretty rigorous. There's a lot of work required. And then we do have an undergraduate minor, which I think something like 700 students have completed now.
Oh, wow.
And that's the 2 core courses plus 4 courses from a menu we have of qualifying courses.
Okay.
And then we also have a graduate certificate now, which is the 2 core courses plus 2 additional qualifying electives. And then recently we started, as I mentioned, the Fellows program.
Yeah.
Which was recently endowed by a very generous gift from Suji Wajaya and his wife. And that's a select 12 group of students.
At the end of the program, the 6 courses, what is it that students take away? Like, what types of students are you actually producing? Is the idea that they could then go out and build a product and bring it to market? Is that the idea?
Some people ask, how do you measure the success of your program? Is it in the number of startups and all of that? And we say definitely not.
Okay.
The average age of people that start really successful high-tech startups is usually in their 30s.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to detune our graduates because they take the courses and they're all, psyched up. I want to start a company and all that.
Right.
And we say, look, until you have that opportunity, and we have something called product market fit, you're just going to be frustrated. So wait, and the opportunity will come. At least you have the tools now to know how to seize it when it crosses your path.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we have had students graduate and start companies right away. You may have heard of a company called Venmo, which actually got launched here in my office, was one of the first trials of it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there's others, and there's several others I could run through. But so some students do start immediately. And when they come to us with a good idea, we'll work with them, we'll mentor them. But we'll also, if they've got an idea that kind of doesn't look like it's so much promising, we won't tell them, your idea is terrible. We'll simply say, lead them on a path so they can do some research and determine that themselves. And they'll find something that does work. But that all said, some students go to work for startups. A number of students just go out and work for tech companies.
Yeah.
Some will go and work in venture finance.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some pretty prominent players there. Some will work in consulting. Some will work in, for nonprofit NGOs, but usually all in the tech sector. And usually the feedback I get is there's things that they've learned in the courses that are just invaluable to them in their careers, which is good to hear. And we've got medical doctors, dentists, lawyers, all people from all these, have pursued all these different careers.
Do students who come into the program often have an idea? Like, do they come into the program, I have an idea, I want to build a product, I think it's a great idea, and then ask you what you think? Like, does this happen all the time?
It happens frequently.
Yeah.
And we've designed a course just for that. So I
Oh,
mentioned the core course, which we recommend for everybody.
yeah.
But the second course is one where we develop high-tech business plans.
Yeah.
And we started a version of it, my colleague Jeffrey Babin did a couple
Hmm.
of years back, which is called the Engineering Entrepreneurship Lab.
Okay.
And in that, it's very similar to the second core course, but in this case, students bring their own ideas in. And, Jeffrey basically works with them to put together a comprehensive business plan and a pitch,
Hmm.
to present to investors.
What about the technology behind some of these ideas or products? Like, do you teach that in any of these courses, or do you leave that to the other engineering courses?
Yeah, that's why what we do is we provide, it's sort of like a capstone.
Yeah.
If you envision a T-shaped, a letter T, then what's holding up the T is the strength of an engineer scientist discipline.
Right.
In engineering, in science, that's the knowledge. And what we provide is then a capstone across it, which is the information, the skills, the knowledge to capitalize on ideas that, Penn Engineering teaches you.
Okay. So you don't focus too much on like the technology or the tools or platforms that students might use to
No,
build
because
their
we have
products.
students from all the disciplines. That would be
Yeah.
pretty impossible. We have, bioengineers, chemical engineers, electrical, mechanical. We get them from all walks. We get, non-engineers, the chemists will come in.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to do that. The technology we're dealing with at the present time is AI,
Yeah.
and that's a game changer in terms of especially in product market fit, how to do your market research,
Right.
supply chain issues. Are That's AI is hugely beneficial, can be if it's used right, for that. Yeah.
What do you think is different about, or what do you know is different about teaching entrepreneurship to engineers and scientists versus more business-minded students? And I'm sure this is
Yeah.
something you had to deal with like in 1999.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's pretty straightforward. In the business schools, they're largely, we entrepreneurship is taught to the future managers of entrepreneurial companies, and they
Yeah.
want to hire engineers, to provide the technology behind their products. We flip that around and saying we are the technology behind the product.
Oh,
We can hire the business people, to help us execute. So it's a matter of who's at the point,
right.
Is it the MBA who's at the point needing to hire engineers, or is it the engineer at the point who wants to hire MBAs? And that's the approach we take. And any number of our guest speakers, particularly well-known venture capitalists, will say when an engineer starts a company, we want them to be the CEO. We want them to be at the point. We want to maintain the culture that they've instilled in the company. So
Interesting.
they find it's a mistake just through their own experience,
Yeah.
to replace a technical founder, as the CEO of the company. Not
Mm,
to say that, and sometimes it is a natural, could be the engineer founder doesn't want to be the CEO, or he wants to stay focused on technology, but
right.
that's rare, is what we find.
You mentioned this, I think. You do have a lot of MBAs that take these courses?
Not a lot, but yes,
Okay.
every year we will have Wharton students with
Yeah.
a handful of them for sure. And they're great students and they enjoy the course. They feel
Yeah.
it's very valuable, gives them a different perspective.
So you talked a little bit about, students have ideas. Sometimes they're good ideas, sometimes they're not great ideas, but you help them, you help coach them. Like,
Yeah.
how do you evaluate whether an idea is quote unquote good or not and has some kind of like potential real world impact?
I think you have to keep a pretty open mind, because some of these students, Penn students are pretty bright. And if they feel there's an idea, um, we don't want to be the ones to right off the bat say, that idea is terrible.
Right.
So what we want to do is get them on a program where they do their own market research, do a prior art search, see what's already out there, what's been done. Are they improving on what's the status quo? Is there product market fit?
Hmm.
We repeat that term ad nauseum, that you really need product market fit. And what's interesting is where AI can factor into that. Through my colleagues here in Penn Engineering, who are really experts in AI, they send me
Hmm.
papers from time to time
Hmm.
about current research where it shows AI can pretty accurately reproduce surveys that you would normally send out about
Oh,
product
right.
market fit, market research type
Mhm.
surveys. But you have to structure them correctly.
And you teach all this in that first course,
Yes,
basically market research?
yes.
Okay.
Well, we provide some tools for market research
Right.
and yeah. And yeah, Wharton has some very good courses in entrepreneurial market research.
Hmm.
And what we do is we have, we compare notes frequently with our Wharton colleagues and to
Yeah.
make sure we're staying current. And then we let them know what we're doing so they stay current. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned AI. What did this look like? I don't know, 5 years ago. Like, what did market research look like 5 years ago for an idea for a product? I kind of know what it looks like now, but
Yeah.
what did it
Right.
look like 5 years ago?
Well, 5 years ago it was surveys, getting out, talking
Yeah.
to people, getting out and finding it's kind of we call validating your customer base in any number of ways, but it's getting out from behind the desk. You really
Yeah.
got to get out. Observation is key. I mean, you want a key takeaway from the course is you got to be disciplined, in your what we call primary research, which is getting out from behind the desk and observing small things on what's going on. What problems can we solve that our customers have, and what's the best way to solve them?
Is another benefit of AI to do this market research, you can kind of iterate on multiple ideas at once. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you've used AI, you can tweak it and gradually,
yeah,
fine tune it into an area where you want. But nothing still replaces the need for observation and firsthand observation.
yeah,
And what we call expect the unexpected. You may be on a path where you think your product's going to go, and something comes in from your research that isn't exactly what you were expecting, but it may
yeah.
be the pivot that you really need. And we see that not infrequently.
What about students that don't have an idea? They have the skills,
Yeah.
they have the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will, but they have no idea what to build.
Well, then they're not ready to start the company.
Like, is there any way to
They
help
can go
them?
work. They're probably pretty good candidates to go work for a company.
Right.
Yeah. But a lot of the startups, and there's some research to back this up, come from students or people, entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs that really don't have an idea, but something unexpected crosses their path
Hmm.
and they realize, oh, wait a minute, here's a problem that could be solved.
Mm,
They weren't out on some mission to try to find an idea. It just is something arose in in the course of their day-to-day activities.
yeah. What about like for the purposes of the courses, like in that second course, I guess students have to work on a project, right? And they don't have an idea for what
Yeah.
they're gonna like at least build for the purposes of the exercise. What are the techniques that you teach for trying to generate ideas?
Okay, well, so we have two versions of the sequel course. The one
Hmm.
is where you do have an idea,
Okay.
and that's the course that my colleague Jeffrey Babin teaches. And you come in with an idea. He may pair you up with some other people, some other students that want to work
Yeah.
with you. And then you develop a business plan, comprehensive business plan, and a pitch, to be
Yep.
ready to go in front of investors. But the original sequel
Yeah.
course is where students don't have an idea and they come in. And what we do is then have them look at various sources of information about what research is going on out there in the world. So we look
Oh.
at first at Penn Center for innovation and say, okay, what's going on in Penn research? They
Okay.
look at government labs. They look at other university labs to see, all right, what's going on? And then each one of the students in the first class will pitch an idea off of some research that they found. You
Okay.
know, they found some technology of maybe not even have passed proof of concept yet, but they put their thought into it and said, okay, yeah, here's a product that could come out of that. And then they present them, and then we pick the top 5, and we form 4 teams of 5 to work on the top ideas.
Okay.
And that's the nature. That's kind of the kernel underneath that we will build a business plan around. Occasionally, we'll get an enterprise company, example being Johnson & Johnson, that'll come to us with an idea that's come out of their research lab. And they'll say, would you like to use that as an idea in your business plan course, and put a team of 4 or 5 students to work on it? And we've done that in the past. Yeah.
How do you form those teams? What makes a good team?
Well, when the students in that initial class, when the students each student presents an idea. So we have 20 ideas floating around. Then the students vote. We give them a hypothetical $1 million and say, here, where would you invest the money in which one of these ideas? And then we take the top 4 or 5 and use them for the course. But at the same time, we ask the students, for all of the 20 companies, which one would you most want to work for?
Oh, I see.
So it's a matrix play where we figure out what are the best optimal teams that have people that want to work on them. We also look at the mix of disciplines to make sure it's a pretty diversified group.
Yeah.
Looking at it. Yep.
So you worked with obviously hundreds of students over the years, last 25, 26 years at this point?
We're in the thousands now.
Yeah, thousands. Okay, I say thousands of students. Are there common traits or patterns among those who go on to launch actual successful ventures?
I don't think I could easily put my hands on that. No. I think, I mentioned Venmo. I think the student that started Venmo was pretty quiet in the classroom, but attentive. There's others. We get all kinds of personalities. It would be hard to identify a trait. Right?
So tell me about Venmo. So first of all, what year was that?
This probably goes back 15, 20 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the initial idea, I guess? Like, how did it start?
It's kind of funny. Ikram, it was, again, one of these things very unexpected. Ikram was up in, I forget where they were. He and his college roommate were up in New York, and one of them had forgot their wallet, and they wanted to tip the band or something. And they thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could just pull out our phone and tip the band? And they came back, and Ikram walked into my office one day and said, Professor Cassel, I'd like to show you this idea I've got. And he pulls out his phone and he presses some buttons. He said, I'm sending you $5. And I said, that's cool. He says, yeah, all I need is your bank account information.
Right.
That's pretty much where the demos stopped. Those $5 are still floating around in cyberspace somewhere. He had no security on his site.
I'm sure, yeah. That was probably one of the biggest issues. So what did you think of that idea initially? Were you blown away, or you just weren't even sure?
Well, it was such a new idea at the point.
Yeah.
That I said, this has got tremendous promise.
Oh, okay.
So he went with it. And he still acknowledges the course as having been somewhat instrumental in giving him, ideas and concepts and kind of the courage to proceed with it. Yeah.
Can you talk about any other standout success stories from the program?
We had one person who very recently who came in, and I got an email totally out of the blue from him. He had taken the course, and he said, Professor Cassel, I remember sitting in the class and thinking, how cool would it be to actually start a company and do what we talk about and then sell it someday? And then he attached an article, I think it was from Bloomberg or Reuters or something, where his company had just sold for $1.8 billion.
Oh my God.
So he's been a frequent guest speaker back here.
Yeah. What about projects that you think have potential, but then stall out? Are there typical reasons for that?
Yeah. And the likelihood of success is not great.
Right.
Yeah. And what we try to do is to give the students what they need to increase the likelihood of success. And so we look at what causes failures in companies and say, okay, what did they do wrong? And I keep getting back to product market fit and observation. It's just critical, that term. And if you're solving a problem, if you've identified a problem and you can solve that problem, and you can do it with, again, product market fit,
Yeah.
then assuming you put all the pieces together and you manage your venture capital appropriately, you manage your organization, you get good strategic partners where you need them, you do what you should in-house, you outsource what you should. We talk about minimizing fixed costs and maximizing variable cost,
Yeah.
all of these. Bottom line, though, if when we cut through it all, in the very end of the course, we say it's really about relationships.
Mm.
We will give you all the tools and the knowledge, but if you look through all of our case studies and really dig deep in them, you'll see it's about relationships, and that's what we emphasize right at the end.
And then go back to the beginning, it has to solve a valid problem, right?
Yep.
There has to be a real market fit for the product.
Yep. People don't buy products. People buy solutions to their problems.
Solutions to their problems, yeah. What kind of trends are you seeing in the kinds of problems students want to solve? Do you see trends?
Obviously, over 25 years, quite a bit has changed.
Yeah.
Today, what we see a fair amount of interest in, first of all, biology, biosciences, life sciences.
Okay.
There's so much going on there, and it's very exciting, what's going on. So that's our areas where our bioengineers, our chemical engineers and the biological sciences, that's where they'll be. Cybersecurity is huge.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
So we've got a lot of attention being spent on cybersecurity, especially, in this day of AI, where you're getting a lot of fake stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, the biological, life sciences, cybersecurity, computer science with like AI, and then the new computer technologies, the new chips that are coming around. Photonics is looking really big in terms of that. Quantum chips is all new. Robotics and autonomous vehicles are getting a lot more attention than obviously increasing amounts of attention.
Right.
The whole battery science, startups based around that, where we can contribute. A lot of that's at the enterprise level now. But, even enterprises look towards startup companies to take the risk with new ideas. And so we kind of look to remove the risk, and then the startup either gets acquired or they license their ideas.
Yeah.
So that's the role that we've played.
Great. You ready for the lightning round?
Sure. Try me.
30 seconds each. What's the most underrated skill in a student founder?
Observation, disciplined observation.
Makes sense.
And forming relationships. But two of those, yes.
A book every aspiring entrepreneur should read.
I have bookcases full. I'm not.
Okay. There are many.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to be helpful on that one.
First thing you look for in a student's startup idea.
Three things, actually. First, did they have a prototype? Is this just an idea, or do they really have something where they can demonstrate what they're talking about? And then the product market fit. Is this heading in the right direction? And then I look at the person. Is the person, is that the person to lead this? Do they have the right attitude for it? Are they mercenary? Or are they just trying to make a quick buck? Or are they looking to build a robust company? So we call them missionaries versus mercenaries. I'm
thinking about that original, the story you told me about Venmo, where the student came into your office, they had a prototype. Did that make a difference? The fact that they could, well, at least they tried to send you money, they could show you how it worked. Like, what if they just told you about the idea?
Yeah, I think if he had just told me, well, look, we have this idea, I would have said, we'll go build a prototype.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see.
Yeah. Once you have something but to demonstrate, let me know.
Yeah.
And prototypes are important too, because you get it's a vehicle to get feedback.
Right. Because
So
you have something concrete that you're looking at.
Prototypes are cool to demonstrate what you've done, but also to get feedback on maybe things you didn't realize it could do, the unexpected. Yeah.
One thing students often underestimate about entrepreneurship.
Probably the time frame. the amount of discipline, the amount of time it's going to take to really develop things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite band right now?
I would say the Philadelphia Orchestra, but I don't think that that's really a band. So
It's a band.
yeah,
It's a group of musicians playing together.
it is. And we have my wife and I have season tickets to
Oh, that's great.
the orchestra is good. And I think if you were to ask me right off tip of my tongue, I would say it's probably ABBA.
Oh, really? ABBA? Okay.
No.
Yeah, great band. What's an activity you do outside of work?
Grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
Like to travel. My wife and I, we do a fair amount of biking in Europe and around. That we do that every year. Just on my own. I enjoy biking, but I really like working with woodwork, carpentry.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In my own space, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Well, thanks. This was great. I appreciate you taking the time. I learned a lot.
Thank you, Brandon. Yep.
Thanks, Tom.
See ya. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe. More interviews and demos coming soon.